Welcome back, everyone. In today's video, we're diving once again into the magical world of Harry Potter, this time with Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. If you haven't seen our previous Harry Potter BDS videos, be sure to check the links in the description because trust me, you don't want to miss them. So without wasting any more time, let's uncover the secrets, tricks, and magical filmmaking techniques that make this movie so unforgettable. Okay guys, you must remember the Ministry of Magic office from Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, which is one of the most breathtaking locations we've been introduced to. This is where Harry faces a disciplinary hearing after using the Patronus charm in the Muggle world right in front of his cousin Dudley to protect them both from attacking Dementors. The grandeur of this magical government office wasn't just a digital creation. For the film, production designer Stuart Craig and his team built a massive full-scale set inside Leavesden Studios. The Ministry Atrium was designed to look both impressive and intimidating, echoing the cold efficiency of a real-world bureaucratic institution. The atrium featured towering green glazed tiled pillars, a glossy black floor polished to perfection, and at its center, a massive bronze fountain that dominated the space. Every detail was constructed to give the Ministry a sense of power and authority, something both awe-inspiring and oppressive at the same time. When it came to film, the cinematography team leaned heavily on wide-angle lenses. This allowed the camera to capture the sheer scale of the set, pulling the audience into the vastness of the Ministry's architecture. But practical sets alone weren't enough to sell the illusion of such an enormous magical complex. Visual effects teams later extended the space digitally, adding endless corridors stretching beyond the atrium, a ceiling that seemed to move with enchantments, and layers of magical bureaucracy with extra crowds bustling in the background. Much of this was filmed with the help of green curtains placed around the practical build, giving the VFX artists room to expand the Ministry into something far grander than the studio space itself. What makes this even more fascinating is the philosophy behind it. Stuart Craig often explained in interviews that practical sets were at the heart of the Harry Potter films. He believed that actors give their most authentic performances when they're surrounded by real environments, not just green screens. And that belief shows here. The Ministry of Magic didn't just feel like another fantasy location, it felt alive. Months of construction, careful detailing, and a seamless blend of practical artistry and digital wizardry turned this set into one of the most iconic and imposing spaces in the wizarding world. It set the tone for the film, showing us that Harry wasn't just fighting dark wizards anymore, he was stepping into the cold machinery of magical politics. Now let's talk about one of the movie's most intense and unforgettable sequences, the duel between Dumbledore and Voldemort at the Ministry. On screen, this battle looks like a larger-than-life clash of magical titans with fire, water, and raw energy flying in every direction. But behind the scenes, the filming was surprisingly calm and controlled. Most of the sequence was shot on a constructed studio set where both actors Michael Gambon and Ralph Fiennes were guided through their performances step by step. The director and stunt coordinators focused more on their expressions, timing, and wand movements rather than actual explosions or magic. All the dazzling spell effects that you see, from the fiery serpent to the water sphere, were created entirely with CGI and post-production. What the audience sees as a breathtaking magical duel was, in reality, just two brilliant actors performing against a green screen backdrop, with VFX teams later layering in the chaos of the battle. It's a perfect example of how imagination, performance, and technology come together to create cinematic magic. Another unforgettable moment is when Fred and George Weasley crash their ALS exam and unleash a spectacular fireworks display throughout Hogwarts. It's both a rebellion against Umbridge's oppressive rules and one of the most joyful and iconic scenes in the film. To bring this to life, filmmakers combined real pyrotechnics, wirework, and CGI. The scene began with the twins flying into the Great Hall on broomsticks, but in reality, actors James and Oliver Phelps were seated on mechanical broom rigs mounted against green screens. These rigs tilted and shifted, giving the illusion of flight. Later, the Hogwarts backgrounds and fireworks were digitally composited in. For the fireworks themselves, the special effects team didn't rely on CGI alone. John Richardson's crew tested multiple real fireworks to study their motion, glow, and light patterns. Small-scale pyrotechnics, sparks, and smoke were actually detonated on set, so the actors and the hall itself caught natural reflections of the bursts. The larger, more fantastical fireworks, such as the giant fire-breathing dragon, exploding letters spelling Umbridge, and magical animals, were entirely CGI, created by ILM and double negative. Hundreds of unique firework animations were layered into the final sequence, all carefully timed to match the twins' mischievous escape. Now guys, if you've watched all of the Harry Potter films, you'll remember that Order of the Phoenix introduced us to a mysterious new creature, the Thestrals. These ghostly skeletal winged horses could only be seen by those who had witnessed death, which is why in the movie only Harry and Luna are able to see them. Their eerie design and haunting presence instantly made them one of the most unforgettable creatures in the entire franchise. To bring Thestrals onto the big screen, the filmmakers relied on a seamless combination of practical creature design and cutting-edge CGI. The responsibility for creating these creatures went to ILM, who gave their iconic look with bony skeletal frames, thin black skin stretched tightly across their bodies, and large bat-like wings that added to their spooky, otherworldly aura. The process started with sculptors building a life-size Thestral maquette. This physical sculpture was then 3D scanned and turned into a highly detailed digital model. ILM's animators gave it an internal skeleton and muscle system so that when the creature moved, its skin would shift naturally over the bones just like a real animal. For the wings, they studied real-world references, analyzing the flight of bats and large birds, while for the way a baby Thestral walked, they surprisingly took inspiration from the gait of a giraffe. These little touches made their movements feel grounded and believable despite being fantastical creatures. During post-production, ILM added layers of realism, from light reflections on the skin to the translucent membranes of the wings, which would glow subtly when light passed through them. Every detail was carefully tuned so that when Thestrals appeared on screen, they looked like real living beings flying through the sky. One of the most magical sequences in the movie is when Harry and Luna ride Thestrals to the Ministry of Magic. But behind the scenes, this breathtaking moment was achieved in a surprisingly technical way. Daniel Radcliffe and Ivana Lynch were seated on motion control rigs designed to mimic the feeling of flight. These rigs were mechanical bases with saddles that tilted and moved, simulating the bumpy floating motion of flying creatures. Surrounding them was a full green screen setup, which later allowed VFX artists to composite in the Thestrals and the night sky as well. The background shots of London and the magical skies were captured separately, some through aerial filming and some created digitally. The actors, meanwhile, had to imagine everything. They were instructed on where to look, how to react to wind, and how to lean with the imagined movement of the Thestrals. Later, ILM digitally placed the fully animated creatures beneath them, added motion blur, gusts of wind, and even dust effects to make the flight look absolutely seamless. One of Hogwarts' most iconic features is its magical moving staircases. In Order of the Phoenix, we once again see these enchanted stairs shifting direction, forcing students to constantly adapt to the castle's ever-changing layout. This instantly adds to the mystery and magical aura of Hogwarts. But behind the scenes, this illusion wasn't as mystical as it looked. For the sequence, filmmakers built a partial staircase set on a massive blue screen stage. Actors like Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson would climb the real steps, while everything around them, including the staircase's movement and the castle's extended interior, was later created digitally. The VFX team composited multiple staircases into the scene, layering them in a cross-like pattern so the audience felt like dozens of staircases were shifting in different directions all at once. This blend of practical stairs and CGI extensions created the unforgettable effect of Hogwarts' living architecture. Apart from the moving stairs, another magical detail was Hogwarts' living portraits that lined the walls. These talking, shifting paintings gave the castle its unique personality. To shoot these sequences, the filmmakers used a minimal wall set where empty picture frames were hung. Inside each frame was a blue screen placeholder. Later, in post-production, artists digitally replaced these with portraits that came to life. Some paintings were created using footage of real actors in costume performing short skits, while others were fully CGI. By duplicating and extending the walls digitally, the filmmakers made it seem like endless hallways filled with magical portraits. This combination of on-set interaction plus post-production magic made the Hogwarts interiors feel vast, alive, and enchantingly unpredictable. In the film, Harry, Hermione, and Ron gather with other students at the Hogs Head Inn to secretly form Dumbledore's army. The set was designed to feel dark, dingy, and slightly sinister, perfectly fitting the tone of secrecy and rebellion. One standout detail here is the animatronic Hogs Head that hangs outside the tavern. Instead of CGI, the production team built a fully mechanical puppet head with servos and rods that allowed puppeteers to move its jaw and head from behind. The level of detailing, from the wrinkled skin texture to the wet-looking eyes, made it so realistic that most viewers believed it was a real taxidermy piece brought to life. This use of practical animatronics gave the Hogs Head a grounded, gritty atmosphere, contrasting beautifully with the polished magic of Hogwarts. In the film, one of the most visually unforgettable moments arrives when Dolores Umbridge summons Harry into her office. But the most striking feature of the office was, of course, the walls lined with moving cat plates. These came directly from J.K. Rowling's novel, where each plate displayed a different kitten decorated with ribbons and bows. For the film, the production team specially created nearly 200 ceramic plates, each one-handed paint with intricate borders and floral designs. Some plates were even left blank, as if the kittens had momentarily scampered out of them, a brilliant little detail that added to the magical illusion. To bring these kittens to life, filmmakers shot around 40 real kittens in a controlled studio environment. Each kitten was placed in different props, backgrounds, and colorful bows and filmed against a blue screen. Later, in post-production, the VFX team meticulously composited the footage onto the plates, adjusting reflections and shadows so that the cats looked like they truly lived inside the porcelain. Early in the movie, when Harry stays at Grimmauld Place, the Order gathers for dinner. It's here we first meet Nymphadora Tonks, who lightens the mood by transforming her face into silly animal features like a pig's snout and a duck's beak. Of course, this was entirely achieved through VFX. Actress Natalia Tena performed her expressions in front of the camera with tracking markers or dots placed on her face. These markers allowed the VFX team to map her facial movements frame by frame. Later, CGI models of the animal features were designed to perfectly match her skin texture and lighting. Using digital morphing techniques, the animal features were seamlessly blended with her real performance. The result was transformations that looked both magical and hilarious while still feeling grounded in the film's visual style. This moment wasn't just comic relief, it also gave fans an unforgettable introduction to Tonks' playful personality and her unique metamorph magus powers. And that's a wrap on the making of Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix. From clever practical sets and digital crafts, the filmmakers' combination of practical effects and CGI brought the wizarding world and its magics to life. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the film's most thrilling sequences, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, as well as hit that bell icon so you never miss another epic behind the scenes story. And comment down below by letting us know which Harry Potter scene gave you the biggest adrenaline rush. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time.